Hey friends, welcome back to our channel, or if you're new here, I'm Alyssa.
I'm Garrett.
And
we have
a new member of the family.
That's with us.
And James.
So this
And we're the Leffersons.
Yes. And it is our pleasure to introduce the newest addition.
James Michael Lefferson. That's his name. So if you guys are new here,
welcome.
We just had a baby. And if you guys are returning, hey guys, how's it going? We took about a month off of YouTube to
Sorry for all the baby
our
noises. It's gonna happen. So
he makes a lot of noises.
We're trying to get him to go to a little bit of sleep.
He needs to take a nap, but that's okay.
Anyways,
it is what it is.
If you don't like baby noises, go on. But so we asked on Instagram, right?
Yeah. So we decided, like, as our coming back to YouTube video, that we would just do like a little Q&A, life update, kind of fill you guys in on what happened the last few weeks.
And because some of you don't follow us on Instagram as well, which is whatever, we are on there at the Leffersons, so come check us out there.
And we do have like pictures of him on there.
Just a couple.
And sometimes I put I've been sharing like our weekly pictures, like our 1 week, 2 week, 3 week pictures. He's 3 weeks old, 3 weeks and a few days. So we've had him for a little bit.
So we did ask on our Instagram, like, what updates would you want about our life? And he's very calm right now. It's probably because we're talking.
Yeah.
So we're kind of going to go through some of those. Try and not make this too painfully long. But we have been working on what we're going to do going forward. And we'll fill you in on that later on. So first things first, Alyssa.
So many of you asked this question. Literally, I think half of them were like, birth story. So if you're not into birth story, maybe I'll put a little timestamp here so that you can fast forward.
Maybe we'll try chapters in this.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I don't know. I guess I got to figure that out. I'm probably going to be in charge of it.
It's not too bad.
So, birth story, where do we even begin?
Well, the birth story, I wrote it all down because
Garrett literally wrote down every single thing that happened.
Thanks field notes for that.
Basically, I got induced. So I did not go into labor naturally. I did get induced at 39 weeks. And I got induced because my blood pressure was kind of high at times, fluctuating, and we knew that he was going to be a big baby.
But not preeclampsia.
No, I didn't have preeclampsia, but I had been to the hospital a few times the last few weeks of my pregnancy for having high blood pressure. So I had to be monitored and all that. So we decided to be induced at 39 weeks, which was kind of nice because then we knew when it was happening.
Exactly.
We knew when things were going to happen.
So Alyssa chose I did nothing inside of this. The entire birth is Alyssa's story. I was just like a co-host.
Yeah, but you were great. It was a great support system, especially when things got hard.
So we checked her into the hospital on what was that?
November 3rd. So
which was a Thursday night at 6 o'clock. Was an amazing experience checking in, super easy.
Basically, they checked my cervix first and I was not dilated at all.
Nope, so they started you on oral prostaglandin.
So that I would start.
Yes, so the cervix starts to thin basically. And it can open.
Yeah.
Which allows this little guy to come through there.
So that basically happened all night. They just kept giving me that all night. Nothing really happened. About 8:30 in the morning, my water broke naturally.
The next day.
Yep. Yes.
So this is
great.
14 hours.
Yep. So that's when kind of things elevated a little bit. They checked my cervix again. I was maybe 2 centimeters dilated or something. It wasn't anything crazy. So they said, okay, in an hour and a half, we're gonna come in, we're gonna start Pitocin, and then you can choose if you wanna start the epidural then too.
If you're not familiar with what Pitocin does, Pitocin takes the natural contractions that the body's doing and just makes them stronger. So it's like pumping it up a little bit. It doesn't make them happen faster, but it just makes them happen
it just very
harder.
Much intensifies
yes,
everything.
It turns it up to 11.
Yeah, I think it's a higher number than that. So basically, I decided to get the epidural. But they started me on Pitocin before I got the epidural.
She was on Pitocin for 20 minutes.
And things escalated very, very quickly.
Yeah.
I was not okay. Literally, I don't even know how.
In my
Please,
notes.
if you have gone through labor naturally without any sort of medication and just had contractions like that, I salute you, because that was legit the worst ever.
In my notes, 1028 is a Pitocin start at 2, and then 1050 intense pain, and they paused the Pitocin drip, but it was already in her system, so she had to ride that out. And finally, they started your epidural at 1140.
Yeah, so they had to stop my Pitocin because I could not hang. Like, I was crying. I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this anymore. I was so uncomfortable. Plus with Pitocin, like, you don't get a break in between your contractions. I think that was the
It's about
other hard
every
thing.
minute.
It was constant. It was just constant pain. So anyways, finally got the epidural.
Amazing.
While I was having a contraction.
Yeah, she was
that was rough.
Let me tell you, she was a rock star through that. And the song of her pregnancy came on during the epidural, like, tap, I guess you could say. And of course, it was from Princess and the Frog with "We're Almost There."
Yep.
And
So
she's all
tried to
like,
sing
"But
along
he's
to
still
that.
in there." And I was like, "No, we're almost to like or less pain."
Yeah. Basically, for the rest of that day, I was just pumping the epidural.
Yeah, and we're hanging out, waiting for you to kind of dilate and get the ball going.
Okay, so I got the epidural at almost noon. Let's fast forward 8 hours.
8 hours, yeah.
There's nothing really happened in between that time. The only thing was I was getting, at this point, at 8 o'clock, I was getting the highest amount of Pitocin.
Yep.
Like, I was maxing out at Pitocin. I was having contractions constantly.
Yep. Didn't feel any of it because of the epidural.
I didn't feel much of it. No, I didn't feel much of it, which was, thank the freaking Lord for the epidural. So things kind of took a turn around 8 o'clock that night.
So doctors change shifts over in our hospital at 7 o'clock. So our 7 o'clock, our day doctor switched over with our night doctor. Night doctor was making rounds, came in, checked on her, and
okay, Garrett actually wasn't there at this time. So nothing was happening in the labor part of it. Like, I was just nothing was going on.
We were hanging out. Her parents were there. I was like, I'm going to run back to the apartment because we lived like 10 minutes from the hospital, grab a pair of tennis shoes.
Like, I wanted you to get like my pregnancy pillow.
I was fully expecting to come back and just bunk down for the night and chill out.
Because nothing was really happening. So Garrett was still out, and the doctor came in, checked my cervix. Actually, no, let's backtrack maybe 10 minutes. So baby's James' heart rate was going up, like it was escalating, and I was starting to get a fever.
Mm-hmm.
So they were nervous that James was like getting an infection.
He was showing signs of fetal distress, is what they called it.
So they checked my cervix to see what was going on. I was still only 4 centimeters dilated, which I was 4 centimeters dilated 4 hours before that. Like, nothing had changed.
Nope.
The doctor also said that his head, he's a big boy and he had a big head. It would not fit through my pelvic bone.
It hadn't dropped. If you're familiar with birth lingo, it hadn't dropped station that entire time. It was still at like -2, and it goes from -5 to +5. And
he
hadn't dropped at all.
And he wasn't going to, because his head was too big to fit through the pelvic bone, which they had just
and it was flat. So usually when the baby comes through, it like cones up a bit. His head wasn't coning.
So moral of the story is, the doctor basically said, we need to do a C-section.
Mind you, I still wasn't there yet.
No, Garrett was not there. And they were like, we'd like to do it quickly or as soon as possible, because they were nervous that he was getting an infection. They wanted to get him out as soon as possible. Mm-hmm. They even were calling the NICU team to come down to the C-section room just to like have them there in case if something goes wrong.
Yeah, just to check up on him too.
I called Garrett.
She's like, so here I am. I'm on my way back. And she's like, so there's a change in plan. And I'm like, oh, hey, what's up? And she's like, I'm getting a C-section. And I'm like, okay, like when? And she's like, there's a person wait, I'm the next person, so you need to be here. Thankfully, we were about to turn onto the campus of our hospital. But come ripping out of the car
Things
and
just escalated really quickly.
running up to the room. There's people in scrubs and they're like, hey,
They're
Dad.
trying to prep me.
They're like, Dad, put this on. And I put on scrubs and packing up the room.
Yeah, we had to be out in like, I had to have the C-section in like 5 minutes or something. And Garrett had to pack up the room. I was also puking at that time because they gave me something that I could not put down.
They were prepping her for surgery. And so
rough.
then they wheel us across the hall. They could take her over to prep and they leave me and they're like, okay, we'll get you whenever she's ready. And they leave me in this room by myself. And I'm like, I was just having a burger 10 minutes ago. And now my wife is about to
about to find out
cut
the gender
open
of our
and
baby.
our baby's gonna come.
Yeah.
So I'm sufficiently like freaking out.
Yeah.
In like, this is happening so fast and we had been looking forward to skin time so much and making sure that he got to experience her first. And that was really important to me. And not that we were angry about the C-section because we wanted mom and baby to be safe.
At that point it was like, let's do what we gotta do.
Well, yeah, and we hadn't really had the time to discuss it, and it was just
But it was what it was. Like, we were, at that point, it was like, if anything's wrong with the baby, like, let's do this.
And so they come and get me, and I come into the room, and Alyssa's laid out on the table, and she's like, hey, and I'm like, we're doing it, and she's like, we're doing it, and...
Oh, but we were both... He makes it seem a lot better. Garrett came in crying. I was stressed because I could feel I did not have enough of the numbness.
The numbness.
They kept pumping more anesthesia into me. I kept feeling everything. And finally they were like, we just got to cut you open. So like, if you can tolerate it, then...
Shout out to our anesthesiologist.
He was amazing.
They put me in this chair and they're like, don't move. And I'm like, I don't know if I can. And the IV was right next to me and he was climbing over me to get to the machine and he was talking to Alyssa.
He was like my therapist while I was in there.
I don't...
Take deep breaths. You got this. You're doing so great.
I didn't catch his name.
And then I was nauseous at one point and he was like helping me with that. And then after the baby was born, after James came out, like Garrett obviously had to leave the room to do skin to skin with him. And that's when I like started shaking. Like I was uncontrollably shaking, very nauseous. He was just like, that anesthesiologist was God.
We got to figure out who that is and give him
he was amazing.
A props. But
everyone was amazing at the hospital.
And it was great because as they were, the surgeon was really fantastic of talking through what he was doing. And like, as he got down to James, we didn't know it was James. He was like, they don't know who the baby is yet. So let mom and dad see him first, or see baby first. And we're like,
before you like announce the gender.
Yeah. And so he came out and we just hear this
cry.
And
that was all I needed to hear.
Oh, we lost it. And so they brought him around and he looked like a little purple little pumpkin. And he was just like this little ball of a person and the umbilical cord was still covering everything. And I'm like, what is it? And the nurse is like, it's a baby, you idiot. And then she moved the cord and I was like, it's a boy. And
there we are.
And here we are. Here's a James. He weighed in.
The NICU team did take a look at him.
Yeah.
The only issue the first like day was low blood sugar. Right?
That wasn't even identified by the NICU team.
It wasn't?
Mm-mm. That was by our nurse.
Okay. So he did have low blood sugar though.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a little struggle the first like 24 hours was trying to keep his blood sugar up.
He came in at 21 inches long, weighing in at 9 pounds, 2 ounces, and with a head circumference of 14 3/4. That's all in inches and pounds and stuff.
And he was born at 9:18 p.m.
Yep.
So like I called Garrett around like 8:30.
Yep.
And he was born at 9:18. So it all happened very, very fast.
Very fast.
But it was all worth it.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the birth story.
And
obviously there's a lot of recovery and all that after it.
Which was amazing, and the team of our hospital was just so awesome.
Yeah.
So if any of you find this, thank you.
If any of you live in the suburbs, Central DuPage Hospital
CDH
is amazing. Highly recommend having your baby there.
And so one of the other questions was like, what was your reaction whenever you found out you were having a boy? The entire time we didn't care what it was, boy or girl.
Right.
I literally just said we had a baby boy.
We just both started crying.
Yep. And we couldn't record video in there. And I did take some audio of it for us to have, because we both sound a mess. But it was a relief.
It was a relief to know that he came out, that he was crying, which is obviously what you want to hear. That he was healthy for the most part. I mean,
the team, it got kind of quiet because they were stitching her up or starting to, and making sure he's checking over. And I'm like, is everything okay? They're like, oh yeah, he's great. And I'm like, then say something. Like, you could
hear him cry every once in a while.
And he was so chill. He was so good.
He's still super chill.
But like we said, James Michael, it is a combination of both of our father's names.
Yes. So someone asked, or a few of you guys asked the story behind his name. James is my dad's middle name. And
Michael is my dad's name. So we took James and Michael, and we thought that for the first Lefferson male, we should put them together, and that's where he comes from.
James Michael Lefferson. I feel like it sounds legit.
JML.
Yeah.
Or
it sounds real
J
good.
Bebe. Or
it sounds very official.
It does. James Michael.
But some of you might be asking, are we going to call him Jim or Jimmy?
No. His name is James. He is only James.
Only James.
Okay.
We're just gonna leave it at
that. What does a nursery look like?
Nope, we skipped one.
Oh, sorry. You have to go in order.
Someone else asked, how long do you get to spend with the baby before you go back to work?
We are filming this on Sunday, and I go back tomorrow. My paternity leave is officially done, sadly, but I got about 3 weeks off with little man and with big mama. No, you know what I mean. And it's been amazing to learn alongside you, and
it's been great to have him home. Just the help, especially the first week. If you guys have had a C-section, you know that the recovery is not great on the mom's end. And so you were just amazing, changing diapers and just carrying him and going up and down, just doing all the things that I struggled with doing. It was slow moving the first week for sure. So it was great. I'm gonna cry just thinking about you going back tomorrow.
And Alyssa doesn't cry.
It's been so great. So. But I am off for quite some time. In America, they give you 12 weeks, and not even all of that is paid. So I'm taking my full 12 weeks, and plus it's actually maybe 14 and a half weeks because we have winter break in there, which is not included. And then we had Thanksgiving break. Mm-hmm. So, and there's a few other random days off here and there. So I'm not going back until February 21st or something like that. So I'm taking a lot of time off, which is great.
And honestly, if I had the sick days, I could have taken just as many. Someone asked, how are you adjusting to parenthood?
To be honest, James is amazing.
Yeah.
He is the best newborn ever. And I'm not saying this to be biased.
Statistically speaking, number-wise.
He is super chill, great sleeper. I cannot believe the amount of sleep that we get.
And
it's not a lot.
We're not trying to brag, and there is no secret. There is nothing special that we did.
No.
Honestly, every parenting journey is so different. Do not take ours and take that we're bragging or
And don't expect a newborn to be easy because it isn't easy, but I will say that I think we expected it to be definitely more challenging than it is.
But here's the thing. I use the analogy of Disney a lot when I'm talking about newborns. Is if you go to Disney expecting it to be this wonderful, smooth, not humid and hot, no, you prepare for it. You bring the clothes, you bring the fans, you bring the cooling towels, you have a plan. That's the same thing with the baby. We expected it to be difficult.
Right.
We understood
it to be hard.
That he was going to have nights when he cried. We knew all these things may have happened.
Yeah. But honestly, he's been great. He whines when he's hungry. He whines when he needs his diaper changed or when he's overly tired.
He fusses when he wants to be held.
And other than that, He's great. He's chill. He sleeps most of the day, to be honest.
He makes sense.
He makes sense. Yes.
I feel like there's not a lot of mystery to him yet.
And I mean, most nights we're getting at least 4 hours of sleep each night, which is
minimum.
At minimum, which is some nights we've been getting like a total of 7 hours of sleep, which is just amazing. So I feel like it's been going good. It also helps having Garrett here. We'll see how it goes now that I'll be solo starting tomorrow. But like, honestly, it's been great. The next question is very similar. How are you doing? Becoming parents is hard. Are you okay? Thank you for checking in on our mental health. To be honest.
Actually, while you do that, I'm gonna go change them. Mommy perspective. Don't mind my
Garrett
shorts.
changes the diaper.
Oh.
Honestly, he might fuss because he does not like his diaper changed. But
He's half asleep.
I feel like the first few days of him being home with us were a lot of emotions. Not necessarily like bad emotions, just like, oh my gosh, I love him so much. Oh my gosh, I want him, like, you're just like anxious about all the first parent things, like just being a parent for the first time. So I feel like there were a lot of tears the first few days, but we have been great, right, Garrett?
Yeah.
I feel like we've been really good.
I feel like we should talk about, is there a question about your breastfeeding journey?
Oh, there isn't a question about my breastfeeding journey, but
I feel like you should talk about that.
I am breastfeeding, and that was probably the hardest thing. The first few days, he would not latch, which was very stressful for me. But needless to say, he's latching now. And things are successful now. If there's any moms out there that are like rock stars at breastfeeding, I'm a little nervous that I'm still like, when I pump, if I ever pump, I'm not like producing enough, or I feel like he's getting more obviously when he's latched onto me, but I'm not. I just feel like I'm not pumping or producing as much as I should. So if you guys have any recommendations as to how to increase my milk supply, let me know. As of right now, I'm making just enough like for him. I know that I'm only like 3 weeks in, but I want to be prepared, especially for when I go back to work.
I'm back with the baby.
Diaper's been changed.
He's been changed.
And hopefully he won't fuss all that much.
I am doing okay. I am finding that I am starting to identify those things in my life that I enjoy, like self-care kind of stuff. Like, man, I miss this or that. And I think Liz and I are really trying to work at communicating those, of saying like, I need this. And I think that's a little harder for you right now because of the whole, like, you're providing food to our child.
Yeah, it's definitely time consuming and you don't really get a break ever.
But I will say, and I know this is gonna sound really stinking corny because I always rolled my eyes at new parents, is that it feels like my life finally has a purpose. For me. Some people find purpose in their career and everything else, but for me, he is my purpose now. We are, my family.
Yeah.
And I think that's been the biggest thing for me and becoming a parent, is that this is my purpose now.
Aw, I like that. Okay, next question is, favorite thing about having a baby and least favorite thing about having a baby. Most favorite thing, honestly, just like having James. Like, I feel like he's just the best little baby and he's adorable and he's been super chill and just such a good baby, and I don't know.
My favorite part is 3-week vacation. Ooh, ooh. No.
Just like getting to know him too. And
yeah.
I'm excited for like him to start having like a personality, you know?
I think one thing that we've talked a lot about is babies amplify your relationships. So if they're good, they get gooder. And if there's cracks, it makes cracks bigger. And I think my favorite part about having a baby is it requires us to be on the same page, to be a team, because we're supporting this little guy. So I think that's my favorite part. And yeah, you get to see this little bugger fuss. What do you need? Are you getting hungry?
He ate like an hour and a half ago, but maybe. I would say yes to that. My least favorite thing is probably changing diapers.
Dude, I got that meconium poop all over me at the hospital, and Alyssa was like, "Well, it's half your poop," and I'm like, "It is." As soon as it comes from your child, I'm prepared to be pooed and peed and everything on.
I'm gonna take him for a few minutes. I'm just nervous he's gonna start crying with me because I have food. But we'll see.
Does Oliver like James? Oliver, if you didn't know, he's not in here.
He was just in here.
He was sitting over there. Oliver is a boy cat. He's not aggressive towards him. He's just very like...
standoffish almost.
I'm okay with
I'm not sure what you are.
Yeah.
He's just not really sure. He like sniffs him and then he's like, okay,
peace
I'm
out.
gonna walk away.
Like, he'll sit outside the door during bath time because he's like, I think something's wrong, but I don't know what it is. But he's fine. He doesn't like cuddle up to him. I know that's a concern with some cats, is like they will smother the baby. Oliver is not about that life.
The next question is, how long until his first Disney trip? This was asked quite a few times also.
Good question.
Great question. As of right now, our first Disney trip is set to be next summer, which is quite some time from now. Quite some time from now.
I'm sorry.
He's upset about it. He really wants to go to Disney sooner than that.
I'm sorry. Was that too loud? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Disneyland.
We're going to start with Disneyland.
Because
it's a little bit smaller. It's more condensed. I think it's going to be easier with him. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do Disneyland next summer.
And I think we're going to do it with fam.
To help us out a little bit, I think we're going to bring family with us, but obviously we're going to vlog it all. And
then hopefully Christmas/New Year's.
It's going to be a big Walt Disney World.
24. So
it's going to be a big Walt Disney World trip.
And he's going to be like 1 year old, and it's going to, I know, growing up is so hard.
I know that some of you guys are probably hoping that we would go sooner.
No.
That can always change, but as of right now, I just think we just need to wait a little bit longer. So summer is going to be a good time, and it'll be a better age for him. Like, we want him to go and kind of be able to look around and know what he's seeing. So last question is house and moving, which has also been asked a lot. God willing.
Currently we're in a 2-bedroom apartment, and it worked, and it's working. But yes, I am excited to have a home.
And we're starting the process. We've looked at a few houses. We just need to find the right one.
All right, so if you know anyone or is of any really not super expensive houses in the Wheaton, Glen Ellen area,
the DuPage County suburbs,
hit us up.
Let us know. Also, we just wanted to add before, I know he's fussing.
I know, I'm trying.
We are going to do a little bit of like a vlogmas this year. Obviously we've been gone for a month, so we've got some content to catch up on.
So we're calling it the 12 Days of Christmas.
Yes.
Now, our plan is every other day. Don't hold us to that, because if you do, you'll be wrong. But
you just never know with us.
But we're
going to try really hard.
We have some partnerships that we are super excited to announce and bring to you guys that are Disney and baby related. We have some vlogs. What else do we have?
Lots of pin unboxings. Lots of pin content.
Yes.
We also have a pin advent calendar this year from Magic Launch Bay, which if you remember Vlogmas like
2-3 years ago,
it was incredible.
Magic Launch Bay, they're a pin company or a pin subscription service. What are they?
Yeah, they're like a pin subscription service kind of thing. They do like mystery packs.
But they specialize in the Asian parks, so Tokyo and Hong Kong, which their pins,
Shanghai.
And their pins are amazing. And so they generously sent over an advent calendar worth of pins, and we're so excited to work with them again.
And we do have a coupon code, which I'll put right here. You can save some money on they have mystery packs, again, mystery pin packs, which are absolutely incredible. We loved them when they had them, and then kind of COVID happened and
life stopped.
Life stopped for a few years, but they're back and they're in action and they're amazing. So we'll put our coupon code here and everything down below.
So make sure you subscribe, hit that bell icon because upload schedule is going to be wonky. If you want to get more of this guy content sometimes, follow us on Instagram and join our Facebook fam as well. We post some stuff on there. But
we haven't posted in a while.
But it cross posts. It cross posts.
It does cross post.
Between, so if you're not on an Instagrammer, but you're a Facebooker, it does cross post between the two. I'm wrapping this up so we can feed this guy. All right.
He's hungry.
Thank you for your patience. We love you guys. This honestly would not be possible if it wasn't for all of you. And thank you. And we are super excited to have another member of the Lefferson fam.
And we're excited to be back and share him with all of you. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, subscribe for more content, and we'll see you real soon. Bye!
Bye!